Imagine an AI. Well, not just imagine one, because it's actually already here. An AI so advanced it not only cracks complex math problems, but actually learns to think out loud, even has aha moments,
Yeah.
like we do.
Wow. Yeah, that's really something.
It really is, and that's what we're diving into today. DeepSeek R1, an AI designed specifically for reasoning tasks.
Sounds pretty intense.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is. We've got excerpts from a research paper all about DeepSeek R1, including details about how it learns and how it performs on benchmarks.
Oh, cool. So we're going right to the source.
Right to the source.
Love it.
Yeah, and you know what's really fascinating? It's how this AI goes beyond just spitting out answers. Like
Yeah.
you ask it a question, it doesn't just give you, like the answer is 42. It's designed to actually reason, learn, and adapt its problem-solving strategies. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's definitely a step up from just number crunching AI. It's like it's actually thinking.
It really is thinking.
Yeah.
And the paper focuses on DeepSeek R10, which is a version that learns through pure reinforcement learning, or RL, as it's called.
Oh, RL. Always a fun topic.
It is a fun topic. And what's really fascinating about this is it's not given any initial training data. It's not like spoon-fed information, you know. It learns everything from scratch through just trial and error.
So it's like a baby learning to walk. It just keeps trying things until it figures it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's even more impressive because DeepSeek R10 achieves this entirely through RL with NO initial supervised fine-tuning.
No fine-tuning at all.
Wow.
That's a pretty big deal, right? Because it means the AI is really learning on its own.
It is a huge deal because it signifies this major step forward in AI development. Like it demonstrates the potential of AI to learn and adapt completely independently without us humans holding its hand through the process.
I'm starting to understand why we're calling this a deep dive.
Oh yeah, this is deep. This is fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
So to kind of put this in simpler terms, it's almost like throwing a kid into a library and saying, okay, figure out calculus.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow they managed to become a math whiz.
Haha, that's one way to learn, I guess.
It's a sink or swim approach, but in the AI's case, it definitely swims.
So how does this RL thing actually work? Like, how does the AI know if it's getting closer to the right answer?
That's where the reinforcement part comes in. The AI gets rewarded for correct reasoning steps. So over time, it learns what works and what doesn't.
Okay, so it's like training a dog with treats. But instead of treats, it gets closer to solving these super complex problems.
You got it. You got it. And get this, the research paper actually mentions this instance where the AI, while working on a problem, literally says, wait, that's an aha moment I can flag here.
Whoa, hold on. It actually said that. Like, in words.
In words.
That's kind of freaky. It's like it's becoming self-aware.
It is a little eerie how human-like that sounds.
Yeah.
It really does highlight, the progress being made in mimicking human-like reasoning processes in AI.
Yeah.
Which is both fascinating and a little unnerving.
Yeah, definitely a bit of both. But you know what else is interesting? The paper mentions that as the model learns, the time it takes to think actually increases.
Oh, really? So it's not just getting things right faster, it's actually taking more time.
Exactly. The researchers measure this thinking time in something called tokens. And this increase in thinking time shows that it's evolving to handle more complex tasks.
So it's like us humans. The more difficult a problem is, the longer we take to ponder it, the more carefully we consider different approaches.
Right, like when you're trying to solve a Sudoku puzzle, you don't just immediately fill in all the boxes. You take your time, think it through.
Exactly, and DeepSeek R10 is showing that same kind of deliberate problem-solving behavior.
That's pretty cool. It's becoming more strategic, more like a human expert.
It's definitely getting smarter and more deliberate in its approach, which is super impressive. But the paper does also mention some drawbacks with this initial version of DeepSeek R10, right?
Yeah, there were a few hiccups along the way, weren't there?
There were. So tell us a little bit about that. What were some of the challenges they faced with this initial version?
Well, initially, the model really struggled with readability. Its explanations were all over the place, a bit jumbled, and sometimes it even mixed languages. Like, imagine trying to understand a math solution that was half English, half Mandarin.
Oh, gosh. That sounds like a recipe for a headache.
It wasn't exactly user-friendly.
Yeah, I can imagine. So they basically had this super smart AI that could solve complex problems but couldn't explain its reasoning in a way that humans could understand.
Right. It was like having a brilliant professor who spoke a language nobody else knew.
So how did they bridge that communication gap? How did they go from this kind of jumbled mess to the more refined DeepSeek R1 that we have today?
Well, they had to go back to the drawing board and rethink their approach. They developed this 4-stage training pipeline to address those initial challenges.
A 4-stage training pipeline.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds intense. Tell us more about this. What does that actually involve?
So the first stage is called cold start. And in this stage, they used a small set of high-quality data to prime the model for better learning.
So instead of starting from absolute zero, they gave it a little bit of a boost, kind of like giving it a cheat sheet with some basic reasoning principles.
Exactly. It's like a head start in the race towards, advanced reasoning.
I like that analogy. So it's still learning independently, but it's not starting completely from scratch.
Right. And then the second stage is called reasoning-oriented RL, which is similar to how DeepSeek R10 learned, but with a twist.
Okay, so what's the twist?
They added rewards for clear and consistent language. So they're not just training it to be smart, they're also training it to be a good communicator.
Makes sense. You want an AI that can not only solve problems, but also explain how it got there.
Exactly, because what good is a solution if nobody can understand it, right?
Right. So they're not just focused on the what, but also the how, the reasoning behind the answer.
Precisely. And then things get even more interesting in the third stage. This one's called rejection sampling and supervised fine-tuning.
Rejection sampling and supervised fine-tuning. Okay, try saying that 5 times fast.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful.
It is, but it sounds important. So break it down for us. What's happening in this stage?
Well, this is where the model learns from a diverse range of sources, not just reasoning tasks. They incorporated things like writing and even translation to make the AI more well-rounded.
Well, translation. How does translating languages help an AI become a better reasoner?
Well, think of it this way. Translating requires understanding the nuances of different languages, right? And finding ways to convey the same meaning accurately. So this process helps the AI develop this broader understanding of language itself, which in turn enhances its ability to reason and communicate effectively.
That's really interesting. I never would have thought of that. It's like learning to see the world from multiple perspectives.
Exactly. And that kind of multifaceted understanding is crucial for advanced reasoning.
Okay, so we've got the cold start, the reasoning-oriented RL, the rejection sampling, and supervised fine-tuning. What's the final stage of this training pipeline?
The grand finale is called RL for all scenarios, and this stage focuses on fine-tuning the model for helpfulness and harmlessness.
Helpfulness and harmlessness. So they're making sure it's not just a powerful AI, but also a responsible one.
You got it. They want to ensure it's aligned with human values and that it's used for good.
That's reassuring because, with all this talk about AI becoming super intelligent, it's natural to have some concerns about, potential risks.
Absolutely. But it's important to remember that AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It all depends on how we humans choose to develop and deploy it.
Very true. So after all that intense training, how did DeepSeek R1 actually perform?
It aced its tests. It achieved an impressive score of 79.8% on the AIME 2024 math exam, even outperforming its predecessor, OpenAI o1-1217. And it also dominated in coding competitions, achieving a 2029 ELO rating on Codeforces, which puts it ahead of 96.3% of human competitors.
Hold on, 96.3%? That's insane. This AI is clearly a force to be reckoned with.
It really is. But it's important to remember that even with these incredible achievements, DeepSeek R1 is still in its early stages of development.
So there's still room for improvement.
Absolutely. The researchers acknowledge that there are areas where it needs further refinement. For example, it's still primarily optimized for Chinese and English, which can lead to some hiccups when it encounters other languages.
So there's a language barrier to overcome.
Yeah, but they're working on it.
It's good to hear. So we've covered a lot of ground already. But before we move on, what stands out to you the most about DeepSeek R1 so far?
Well, for me, what's truly remarkable is how DeepSeek R10 achieved this incredibly high level of reasoning ability purely through reinforcement learning. It really opens up a world of possibilities for developing AI that can learn and adapt independently without relying on vast amounts of labeled data.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were able to refine that raw reasoning power into this more user-friendly and helpful AI with DeepSeek R1 is even more impressive. It's like they took this diamond in the rough and polished it into this brilliant gem.
That's a great analogy. It's a testament to human ingenuity and our ability to shape AI development in a positive direction.
Okay, so we've established that DeepSeek R1 is a bit of a brainiac.
A brainiac, for sure.
But now I want to delve into this fascinating aspect of DeepSeek R1 called distillation.
Ah, yes, distillation. This is where it gets really interesting.
So we've established that DeepSeek R1 is, a bit of a brainiac.
Definitely a brainiac.
But this distillation thing you mentioned sounds intriguing. What's that all about?
Okay, so imagine you take all the complex reasoning abilities of DeepSeek R1, right? All that brain power.
Okay, got it.
And you condense them into a smaller, more streamlined model. That's essentially what distillation is. It's creating a more efficient version of the AI that still retains that core reasoning power.
So it's like taking a massive supercomputer and shrinking it down to the size of a laptop.
But it still has all the same processing power.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And the really remarkable thing is, even these distilled versions of DeepSeek R1, they're showing some really impressive results.
Really? So even the smaller versions are still holding their own? They are. They're doing great. For instance, the smaller DeepSeek R17B model, which is significantly more compact. It still outperforms non-reasoning models, like GPT-4o0513, on a variety of tasks.
Wow. So it's like they found a way to make this powerful AI more lightweight without sacrificing its intelligence.
Exactly. And that's a big deal, because when you think about it, larger AI models, they require a massive amount of computational power and energy to run.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's like trying to power a small city just to run one AI.
It's not quite that extreme.
Yeah.
But you get the idea. These larger models can be really expensive and less accessible for widespread use.
That makes sense. So distillation is a way to make this cutting-edge AI technology more practical, more sustainable.
Precisely. It's about democratizing access to this powerful AI, making it available to a wider range of users and applications.
So it's not just about making the AI smarter, it's also about making it more accessible to more people.
That's exactly right. And the best part is, this distillation process, it doesn't seem to compromise the AI's reasoning abilities. There's not really a trade-off in performance.
So they're essentially getting the best of both worlds. A smaller, more efficient model that's still just as smart.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The research shows that even the smallest distilled DeepSeek R1 model, the one with only 1.5 billion parameters, it achieves this really impressive 83.9% score on the Math 500 benchmark.
That's incredible. It's even outperforming some of those larger, more complex models like GPT-4o and Claude.
It is. It's really a remarkable achievement. And it has huge implications for the future of AI development.
Yeah, I mean, this could be a game changer for all sorts of applications, especially in fields where resources are limited.
Absolutely. But even with all this progress and excitement, it's important to remember that DeepSeek R1 is not perfect. There are still some areas where it needs further development.
So what are some of the areas where it falls short?
Well, one thing is that DeepSeek R1, it excels in specific reasoning tasks like math and coding.
Okay, so it's a bit of a specialist.
Yeah, but it's not quite as versatile as some other AI models when it comes to things like understanding complex instructions or generating different types of creative text formats.
So it's a brilliant math whiz. But it might struggle to write you a poem or summarize a complex news article.
Exactly. Right now, it's more of a specialist than a generalist.
I see. And are there any other challenges they're facing in its development?
Yeah, another challenge is something called prompt engineering, which is basically how you phrase questions or instructions for the AI.
Oh, okay, so it's about how you talk to the AI.
Yeah, and it turns out that DeepSeek R1, it's a bit sensitive to this. Like, it has a preference for how it likes its questions served.
So you have to be careful about how you word things.
Exactly. For the best performance, they've found that it's best to be direct with the questions and not provide too many examples beforehand.
Interesting. So it's like it prefers to figure things out on its own terms?
You could say that it wants to use its own reasoning abilities without being influenced by too much external information.
Got it. So what about software engineering tasks?
Yeah.
The paper mentions some challenges in that area as well, right?
Yes, that's right. And the challenge with software engineering, it mainly comes down to time. You see, evaluating an AI's performance on these kinds of tasks, it's incredibly time-consuming.
I can imagine. It's not like you can just quickly glance at some code and know if it works.
Exactly. And this time constraint, it makes it really difficult to integrate software engineering tasks efficiently into the reinforcement learning process.
Because remember, reinforcement learning involves a lot of trial and error.
Right. And the faster you can evaluate the AI, the faster it can learn and improve.
It's a bit of a bottleneck.
Exactly. It's like trying to teach someone to code by having them write an entire operating system from scratch.
Yeah, that would take forever to get feedback and make any real progress.
Exactly. So they're exploring ways to overcome this time constraint. One strategy is to use what's called rejection sampling on software engineering data.
Rejection sampling. So what does that mean?
It basically means pre-filtering the data to remove irrelevant or unhelpful examples. So you're making the training data set smaller and easier to process.
So it's like decluttering the AI's learning environment, giving it a more focused set of examples to learn from.
Exactly. It's all about efficiency. And another strategy they're looking into is incorporating asynchronous evaluations during the learning process.
Asynchronous evaluations. Okay, that sounds complicated. What's that all about?
Well, it basically means that the AI can continue learning and exploring new solutions while it's waiting for the results of previous evaluations.
So it's not just sitting there twiddling its thumbs waiting for feedback.
Nope. It's multitasking, maximizing efficiency by working on several things at once.
Pretty clever. It sounds like they're really pulling out all the stops to optimize this training process.
They are. They're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
It's clear that the researchers are really dedicated to refining DeepSeek R1 and unlocking its full potential. But let's zoom out for a moment and consider the broader implications of this whole AI reasoning thing. What does the development of DeepSeek R1 tell us about the state of AI as a whole?
Well, DeepSeek R1, it represents a paradigm shift in AI development. It's really a testament to the incredible strides being made in creating these AI systems that can reason and problem solve at a level approaching and in some cases even exceeding human capabilities.
It's both exciting and a little bit mind-blowing to think that we're witnessing the emergence of this new era of intelligence.
It is. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears now and delve into those implications, the positive aspects and also the potential challenges that we need to be aware of.
That's a crucial conversation to have because AI reasoning, it has the potential to reshape our world in some really profound ways. And it's essential that we consider the ethical implications.
We need to make sure that this technology is developed and deployed responsibly, with a focus on benefiting humanity as a whole.
Couldn't agree more. And we'll explore those implications in more detail in the final part of our deep dive.
But for now, let's take a closer look at one more technical aspect that really stood out to me. The concept of distilling those complex reasoning abilities into those smaller, more efficient models.
Ah, yes. The art of making AI reasoning more compact and accessible is really a crucial step in making this technology widely applicable.
And as we've seen, it doesn't seem to compromise performance. It's remarkable how they've managed to retain those core reasoning abilities while shrinking the model down.
It raises some really fascinating questions about the nature of intelligence and knowledge itself. Like, how much can we compress and transfer while still preserving the essence of reasoning?
Those are some deep philosophical questions. But before we wander too far down that rabbit hole, let's transition into the final part of our deep dive and explore the broader implications of AI reasoning for humanity.
Sounds like a plan. This is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, so we've explored, the inner workings of DeepSeek R1 and how it's really pushing the boundaries of AI reasoning. But now we want to kind of step back and look at the bigger picture. What does the rise of this kind of advanced AI really mean for us humans?
Yeah.
For society as a whole?
Yeah, it's a question that sparks both excitement and a little bit of apprehension, right? I mean, it's powerful technology with a lot of potential, but also potential risks.
Exactly. It's a double-edged sword in a way. And we've touched on some of those potential challenges. But let's start by focusing on the positive. How could AI reasoning, like what we're seeing with DeepSeek R1, actually make our lives better?
Well, there's so many possibilities. It's hard to even know where to begin. But I think one area where AI has the potential to make a huge impact is education.
Oh, absolutely. I'm fascinated by that too. Imagine a world where every student has access to their own personalized AI tutor, like one that adapts to their individual needs and learning style.
Exactly. It's like having a custom-designed education plan for every student. AI could help identify, those knowledge gaps, recommend tailored learning resources, even offer real-time feedback. It could really democratize access to quality education.
Yeah, and empower individuals to learn at their own pace. That's huge. It's a game changer, not just for students, but for educators as well.
Right. Teachers could leverage AI to create more engaging and effective learning experiences, freeing up their time to focus on things like individual student needs and mentorship.
It's like AI taking care of the heavy lifting so that teachers can focus on the human element of education.
And it's not just about individual learning. Think about the potential impact on scientific research. AI could analyze these massive data sets, identify patterns that might escape human observation, even generate new hypotheses, accelerating discoveries in fields like medicine, climate change, space exploration.
It's like giving scientists this incredible tool to accelerate progress on some of the world's most pressing challenges.
Precisely. And the applications go way beyond science. Think about finance, for example. AI could analyze market trends and make more informed investment decisions, or manufacturing, where it could optimize production processes, predict equipment failures, leading to greater efficiency and sustainability.
Wow. So it's like giving these industries a cognitive upgrade, allowing them to operate with this level of intelligence and foresight that was previously unimaginable.
That's a great way to put it. But of course, with any new technology, there are always concerns. And one of the biggest concerns with AI is its potential impact on jobs.
Yeah. Will AI replace human workers? It's a question that comes up a lot, understandably so.
It's a valid concern, and it's important to address it head on. I don't think AI will completely replace human workers, but it will definitely change the nature of work.
Right. It's not about AI versus humans. It's about finding ways to work collaboratively, leveraging the strengths of both.
Exactly. AI excels at repetitive, data-driven tasks, which frees up humans to focus on areas that require things like creativity, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence.
So it's about recognizing that AI is a tool. Like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. The key is to make sure that we're the ones wielding the tool responsibly.
Well said. And that brings us to a crucial point. We need to be proactive in addressing the ethical implications of AI. It's not just about developing cool technology, it's about ensuring that this technology is used for the benefit of all humanity.
We need to ensure fairness, transparency, accountability in how AI systems are developed and used. This is a conversation that needs to happen at all levels of society.
Absolutely. The more we talk about these issues, the better equipped we'll be to navigate the challenges and opportunities that AI presents. It's about creating a future where AI empowers us, not replaces us.
Well said. We covered a lot of ground today, from the technical details of DeepSeek R1 to the broader societal impact of AI reasoning. As we wrap up, what's the one key takeaway you'd like our listeners to ponder?
I'd say this AI is rapidly evolving, and its impact on our lives is only going to increase in the years to come. It's up to all of us to shape this technology's trajectory, ensuring that it leads to a future that is both innovative and equitable, a future that benefits all of humanity.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
And a call to action. It's not just about observing the rise of AI, it's about actively participating in shaping its future. So to our listeners out there, we encourage you to stay curious, stay engaged, and stay informed about this incredible field of AI. The future is being written now, and we all have a role to play in shaping its narrative.
Well said. And thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of DeepSeek R1 and AI reasoning.
It's been an incredible journey. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those brains buzzing.